Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to another live episode of Seasoned Sunflower Hour. We are so happy you're part of the Sunflower Hour family. And always a reminder, if you haven't done it already, make sure you click the follow, the like, the subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on all the amazing things we have going on in the ALS Association's Greater Chicago chapter and all the amazing things that we have happening at Sunflower Hour. We don't want you to miss a thing. And speaking of some really great things happening, you know that October has been such an incredible month for the Chicago chapter. I just want to give you guys a quick little wrap up here. You've heard us talk about the Chicago Marathon for a while. It happened. It was amazing. It was such an incredible day. If you were there, thanks for coming out, for supporting, for running for Team ALS. All of this exciting news. Get ready for this. Sit down because this is super exciting. So this year, the ALS Association's Greater Chicago chapter, Team ALS, has had a record-breaking year. We have had the largest number of runners, and we have raised the largest amount of money ever. This is huge. So we had 175 runners running for Team ALS. We are so grateful for that. That's really exciting. And get ready for this number, everybody. We raised $382,000 for ALS for the Chicago chapter. This is huge. You guys, this is going to help so many people. So everybody who donated, who ran, who was out supporting, who volunteered, who cheered the runners on, thank you for such an amazing Chicago Marathon experience. And you guys save the date because registration is open for the 2023 marathon. If you want to join Team ALS for next year and get to run it in October in Chicago, check out the link. All the information will be there. Sam's already got it up in the comment section. So I will see you guys next year with Team ALS. I'm so proud of everybody. So that was huge. What else? We have another caregiver boot camp coming up on Saturday, December 22nd. As always, it is free of charge. It is virtual. So if you are a caregiver, if you know a caregiver, someone giving care to somebody with ALS, please tell them to check it out. Come. All are welcome. It's going to be a great time. And as always, you'll get one-on-one conversations and some Q&As with some specialists and with our care service coordinators to help answer all of your questions within your caregiving journey for your loved one with ALS. What other great things are happening? So many great things are happening. Let's see. Oh, and before we get too far into the show, we have to give a happy birthday shout out to somebody very special. Gemma, happy birthday. You are so incredible. She's one of our care service coordinators. She's absolutely amazing. We are so lucky to have you in this family. Happy birthday. I hope it is a really, really great one. Mwah! Happy birthday. Ooh, and you guys save the date already. Put this on your calendars, February 10th, 2023. That is going to be here before you know it. It's the first look for charity at McCormick Place. Such a great night. You get all dressed up. You get to come in where there's less lines, pretty much no crowds. You get a first look at the Chicago Auto Show, and there's tons of incredible food and drinks. And again, you get to see all the really cool things, all dressed up in beautiful gowns and suits and tuxedos and all the good stuff. So save the date. That is February 10th, 2023. So many awesome things. And it is October already. I don't even know how we got here. I swear I just blinked and here we are in October. And Halloween is less than 2 weeks away already. Where does the time go? Well, we are doing our second annual Sunflower Hour Halloween contest. We want you to get involved. So submit a photo or video if you want to get all crazy, but be creative. Let's see what you come up with. We want to see your best Halloween costume. It could be you, could be your kids, could be your animal, could be anything. Like I said, let your creativity fly here. So make sure you go to our Instagram page. It's at ALSA Chicago. Send a private message, a direct message with your submission. And you have from now until October 30th to make your submission. And on Halloween, on October 31st, we will announce the winner. I hope it's you. So let's see what you have. I want to see your best costume. I want to see how crazy and creative you guys get. So make sure you head to Instagram at ALSA Chicago. Send that direct message with your submission. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And as always, keep looking at that comment section because all the things I'm talking about, all the things I'm throwing at you, all these events, save the dates, all the exciting stuff coming up, it is all in the comment section. All the links are there and labeled for you so that it's nice and easy. We have some pretty great guests tonight, so I want to get into that with just no further ado. This is going to be so exciting. Get ready for another great show tonight. So our guests tonight are no strangers to being on air. This dynamic power couple met during their career in broadcasting. So, by the end of the show, they may end up hosting this. One tap on the studio window turned into 40 years of marriage and some pretty exciting adventures. Now, one of the many things that Toby and Diane have in common is their passion for helping others. That is by far what shines the brightest. Now, Toby has spent over 30 years in public service. He's literally dedicated his whole life to giving back and to helping those around him. These two were there the moment the ALS Association's Greater Chicago chapter was created, and they have been there every step of the way ever since. They've experienced firsthand what ALS can mean to a family and have been on a mission to cure ALS and to focus on patient care ever since. Now, here to share their incredible stories and to share how the Chicago chapter was created, please welcome board member, vice chair of the ALS Association's Greater Chicago chapter, Toby Kuharski, and his wife, the CEO of his life, Diane.
Hey, Susan.
Hey, guys, welcome. We're joined by CEO, by the vice chair. We've got some fancy people on the show tonight.
Well,
I'm so excited.
No one fancier than you.
Oh, flattery gets you everywhere. Thank you. I paid him a lot of money before the show to say great things like that. Well, you guys are just the cutest. I love you so much. And you've been married for 40 years. That is amazing. First of all, neither of you look old enough to even be married 40 years or to have a daughter.
Yes, we paid you to say that.
I love this. Just love going around everywhere around here. So 40 years. I mean, did you have any idea? I love this story and how you met. I want you to tell us how you met. And did you have any idea that Toby, that knock on the window, the door in the studio from Diane would turn into this 40 years later?
Oh, no, because somebody thought it would be cool to play Hard to Get on top of that.
Yeah.
So, this knock on the door. Hey, how you doing? Good. How are you? Can you play a song? Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. What song do you want? So, okay, yeah, we can get to it. And about an hour later, she came back. I said, all right, you want to go? I get off the air at 10. Do you want to go get a cup of coffee? I don't drink coffee. All right. Can I take you to lunch? I don't eat.
And after I said that, I realized how stupid that sounded.
I said, well, all right, I got a class this afternoon. This was at the college radio station. Okay. So after class, you want to go grab a beer or a drink? I don't drink. I said, well, all right, well, I've played your song for you, and if you want to do anything else, give me a call. You know where I'm at. And but another hour passes. She said, well, I suppose lunch would be okay.
You caved, Diane. You held on. You put up a real good fight.
I did. Well, and I realized, some of the things I said were silly. But
I love a good love story here, though. I think this is so cute. I mean, ha. He got you. And then, like I said, 40 years later, and you guys have been on so many crazy adventures together. I think that's so crazy. It all just started because of, do you even remember that song, Toby? Do you remember the song she requested?
I want to say Turning Japanese.
No.
I'm turning Japanese.
Yeah.
And I don't.
That was it?
I'm drawing a blank on who did the song.
I'm drawing a blank too.
That's hilarious. So Turning Japanese is what started this whole love story.
Yeah. It was a top 10 song, and it was the closest thing. Diane was a punk rocker. And that was the closest thing to being a punk song. And we were a top 40 station.
Okay.
that we actually had. So that's what she wanted to hear.
That is so cute.
What can I say?
And the rest is history, as they say.
The rest is history.
As they say, yeah.
Gosh. Well, life absolutely works out in some of the craziest and most mysterious ways. So, actually, many years ago, another one of the mysteries in your lives, Toby, your father, Ed, started this. Something happened in your family that started this ripple effect that changed the course of not even just your family's life, but it's impacted so many people's lives. So, he basically sparked something that led to the creation of, I'm going to say it, the most incredible organization in the world. What happened to create this first spark of inspiration?
With my dad, it's just that I saw how much he cared about people. From 1947, when he got elected to the Chicago City Council as the only Republican, and as a 30 or 31-year-old, he was the youngest ever elected until Ed Burke got elected 22, 23 years later. And he always gave back. He was still in office the night he died. So he'd never really retired. He was still the ward committeeman out on the great 13th ward out on the southwest side of the city of Chicago.
Well, for those watching that don't know, so tell us about your dad, because he was diagnosed with ALS and he passed from ALS. So what was that journey? When was he diagnosed?
Well, my mom actually said that she noticed, once we found out what it was, she noticed things that she just overlooked. She figured it was old age. My dad was older than my mother by quite a bit. And so he couldn't do certain things. I will tell you this, he did not know he had ALS. And the October before he died, well, until he was diagnosed, but he had ALS at that point. The October before he died, he shot an 85 at the number 2 course at Cog Hill, which is where we have our golf outing every year.
Okay.
And it was the only time I'd ever beaten him by more than one stroke. And I only had beaten him maybe 3 or 4 times in my life.
Okay.
And he, so we started noticing things not coming together.
The grip,
grip
and his feet not working,
So he'd been going to chiropractors. He'd been going to osteopaths. And they go, it's a pinched nerve. Well, finally, at one point, my mom needed a break. So we sent her packing for a week's trip to Tucson, Arizona, to visit some family we had there. And the day after she left, I went over to the house and I said, "Come on, big boy, we're taking a ride." And I remember that was February 1st of 1994. Oh, 04?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the doctor said to me, he's getting up there in age. I said, and the only thing I knew about ALS at the time was the movie Pride of the Yankees, which is still one of my favorite all-time movies. Okay. But I watched my dad's, what he was doing with his hands, and he kept saying they're on fire. They were the same movements that Lou Gehrig displayed with his hands in the movie. And that's all I knew about ALS.
Oh.
So I said to the doctor, I said, he's doing the same things as Gary Cooper in the movie. And that's all I know. But could he have ALS? And he said, no. At that time, conventional thinking was white males, 35 to 50.
Okay.
And I said, just kind of make me happy. Just run the tests, whatever you got to do. So they kept him in the hospital for pretty much that whole week. My mom was out of town, and we didn't tell her because we didn't want her to worry. And so he came home, and we still noticed he was declining. And finally on April 1st, the doctor called and said, "I don't know how you knew this, but he has ALS." And he's, at that time, 1 in a million. He was 78 years old at the time.
Oh gosh.
And then he passed away on August 17th of 94. So pretty much from 4.5 months from diagnosis to passing. So
it's crazy to see how far it's come, though, from your dad being diagnosed in the 90s.
Oh, geez.
To where we
What
are
a difference.
today. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What a difference.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, because ALS is already horrible in itself, but then to have to go through that type of a journey and to not be maybe recognized, or you make the assumption, no, it can't be ALS. I mean, that just makes things so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So.
Well, going through all of this, so your dad having ALS, battling this for all those years without even having a diagnosis, and then finally getting that diagnosis and everything, because we talk about this on the show all the time. It's not just the individual living with ALS. It really does affect the entire family. And I know that this, it impacted you and your mom. It impacted your whole family in such a really big way. So I remember talking to you guys, and Diane, you were saying that Toby's mom came over, you guys sat down together, and she expressed that she wanted to do something sort of in memory of your dad. She wanted to create the Chicago chapter of the ALS Association. So guys, what was your initial reaction, Diane? What was your reaction to this, I guess, request?
Well, she had been going to advocacy days for several years. And so she really wanted to create something in Chicago of her own, So we're an offshoot of, the organization. And so the initial reaction was, Toby said, "I'm not listening to this." And he went downstairs. And so I sat with her, and I was supportive, but I was also very realistic and explained about nonprofits and some of the bumps that, and hills and valleys you can go through. And especially with a startup. And, but she said, "No, I want to do this. I want to do this for the patients. I want to make sure that the families have what we did not." So I was like, "Okay, I'm here to back you." And I'm sure at some point, Toby will be here to back you too.
And the one thing that I do remember, that my mom said, "Well, where do we get started?" And Diane says, "Well, you got some phone calls to make, because there's some people that will help you financially and can get you grants and stuff." She said, "Oh, I can't call them. And I was not standing right there, but I was coming up the stairs, and I hear Diane say something to the effect of, "I've got one more number to push on this phone. You going to talk to him, or am I?" My mom got on the phone.
It started right then and there. This moment at the table was when it all began.
Pretty much. I mean, there was still a lot of footwork that had to be,
and there were conversations prior to that with certain people to, support this idea. But it was just such a huge venture, starting from the bottom up.
Nobody had any idea where it was going to go.
No.
My mom,
I want to get into that.
Okay, well, we can go through that as we get there chronologically, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love this. I just want people to really get a full understanding, because it's so funny, because you and I, we know each other, so we know what we're talking about. But guys, basically what we're talking about right here is, Toby's dad passed away of ALS, and then his mom was the one who decided, all of this, us being here, the ALS Association Chicago chapter, is all because Toby's mom had that conversation with Diane and said, I think it's so beautiful what you said, Diane. I want to do this. I want to do this for the patients, and I want to do this for the families so that they have what we don't. All of this came because Toby's mom made that phone call and made all of this happen. And then, yeah, here we are today. But when she created this, I really love her initial reasoning behind it. But when you guys worked through all of this, what were the initial goals, sort of that first mission and the values of the original chapter that she created in 2005, I believe?
It was advocacy and research because,
advocacy and research. My wife, Diane, just lost her earpiece. Advocacy and research, and treating people right.
Helping families get through,
something
that's really challenging.
But we, again, when they were sitting at the table, they didn't know what do we do next, and so they reached out to the national office, and
Dad had already started prior to
through the advocacy days and stuff, that my mom was there, and my dad had been a very prominent political figure in Chicago and the state of Illinois. So when sweet little Martha shows up on Capitol Hill, like the freight train that she could be, nobody said no to her because they all knew her because of years of dealing with my dad. And it was both sides of the aisle. Nobody said no to Martha. So much to my chagrin, when after my mom passed, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but a lot of these people said, well, what are you doing here? I said, well, mom passed, and I felt the need to carry on her legacy.
Her legacy,
whatever you want to call it. And so, we then switched to me having a working relationship with these people. But Steve Gibson, who used to be with the association as the chief advocacy or public policy officer, he couldn't believe my mother. He just says, I thought I had to, go with her and hold her hand. And you got to realize, my mom was 5'5", 110 pounds. He thought he was going to have to go hold her hand on Capitol Hill when she'd go. And no, she'd tell him to go sit down and she'd go get it done.
I love that. That is a woman on a mission. That's a woman on a mission.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I love that. There was absolutely no stopping her. Do you even think that she had this vision in her head of where she wanted the chapter to go? Was that what she was fighting for?
I'm not so sure.
I don't think it was necessarily just the chapter. I think it was more, again, the families. She was thinking back on supporting the families and also the people that have ALS. It's a combination.
There was nobody offering in Chicago what we offer. And that was a very hard for her.
Okay.
And she didn't drive, which probably a pretty good thing, because when she did drive, she wasn't very good at it, let's just say. And always in a hurry. And there were no support groups down in the city. You couldn't get a bus out to the burbs. She didn't want to be taking a bus or the L or even Metra, especially in the winter months after dark. So those were the beginning steps, but she really had no idea of where anything was going to go. And I can remember she started getting real excited when they said, all right, we're going to make you a chapter in organization. And we'll work with you a little bit. And she was so excited. So she went out and got an office. that nobody ever came to because nobody knew we were there yet. But she was so
And it was
excited.
really small.
Yeah.
It was one room.
Well, basically the size of a closet.
Yes,
But
yes.
she was so excited about that. It was. And one of our board members, Scott Nichols, got her 2 desks for that small little office. And they're still in the office today, or they were, before the pandemic. But she got all excited about the walk. Unfortunately, she had cancer that either she didn't know about or didn't tell anybody about.
She didn't tell anyone.
And so she never got to see the first walk. She passed away in February of 2005. And our first walk was June 25th of 2005. And we did that in honor. My daughter's birthday is June 25th. My mother's birthday was Christmas Day. So this was kind of like her half birthday that she didn't get to see. And
it was her mother's birthday.
And it was her mother's, my grandmother's birthday was June 25th as well.
Aww.
So
So of course you can see us when that first walk, and I'm just crying, just the whole thought of,
it was
that date.
The date, it was very emotional. I mean, because my mother was everywhere. I mean, you could just feel her presence everywhere that day. And it was 95 degrees with 90% humidity, and we were down. We had a tent set up next to, or just across from, I should say, the Montrose Harbor Bait Shop. The refrigeration broke that day. So our first walk, it stunk.
It's pretty bad.
It was.
But we just had to think of the positive.
But everybody just kept
Yeah.
moving through. And so that was her. I mean, that's what she was looking so much forward to, because really at that time we didn't know. And if we didn't bring in money, we weren't going to be around.
Yeah.
So that first, I had called our original board president or chair, was my oldest and dearest friend, Jamie O'Connell. And that's how I met our current president and CEO, Julie Sharp. She was working for him.
Okay.
And so I called him and I said, listen, my mother's going to call you. She has started this nonprofit and she needs a board. You've got some board experience and you got to take care of Martha on this. And so he stepped in and did, and he built the board. Some of the people are still around that you know. Christine was there at the time, Churchill, Vicky Geist, who's no longer on the board with us now, but I'm trying to remember who else might still. I think that might be it.
It was small.
But Julie was on our board.
Mighty. Yeah.
I like that, small but very mighty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we set off for our first walk, and we literally had more volunteers than we had walkers.
I love that. I remember you telling me that on the phone. I wrote it down because I just thought, gosh, to sit back now and look that first walk in the city, more volunteers than walkers, 2005, here we are. We just wrapped the 2022 Walk to Defeat ALS season. Now we have multiple walks throughout the state of Illinois. We had over 1,600 participants and raised over $875,000 in this walk season.
Wow.
I
remember and that first walk, Diane asked me this morning.
But I was so excited about it.
Yeah.
I was like, look how many people are here. I don't care if they're all volunteers.
We didn't know who was showing up, and we didn't know how much money we were going to raise.
Right.
This morning we were talking about it, and I don't know. Well, it was the first walk, so I remember we raised $53,000. And
we were excited about that.
Yeah. I thought, man, we got it. Pardon me?
that for your first time, for a brand new nonprofit, for doing all of this from the ground up yourselves, for being so new, I feel like that is huge.
Yeah, it was. To us, it was huge.
Right.
And there was one very large donation who wanted to remain anonymous. He wrote a check for $10,000. And it was also the Gay Pride weekend. So they were practicing for their parade the next day.
So it was great.
And
it was great. Yeah.
So they were coming up, and what are you guys walking for? And as people were, oh, we're walking for ALS. Oh, that's a terrible disease. They were coming up to the tent and donating money. I mean, it was almost surreal. And,
no, I think it meant to be. I think it meant to be because it sounds like the magic that I see or that I get so excited to tell people about, that is the Chicago chapter of the ALSA. It sounds like that magic was there from the very beginning. There's something about this group of people, the people that believe in this, your mother, Toby, your family, putting that all together it's just the perfect cocktail of all that this is. And it started from the very get-go.
Yeah. We've never stopped.
No.
We've never stopped, and we never had a down year from the year before. But that's a tribute to the staff we have. You know, so we were able to, after that first walk, we had enough money, we were able to hire
office.
The executive director.
Right.
And unfortunately, that didn't work out so well. And so we had to make a change. And I was arguing a little bit with Jamie about it. He was the board chair, and I had just basically come onto the board after my mom passed away. And the language got a little hot and heavy, but I said, man, I wish we could clone Julie Sharp, who works for you. And there was just dead silence. And he goes, well, what makes you think that? And I said, if she can keep the O'Connell brothers from killing each other in the family business, she's the right girl for this job. And he goes, geez, I hadn't even thought about it that way. Well, let me think on it. About 10 minutes later, I get a call from Julie. Were you serious? I said, yeah. She goes, I'll take the job. And she's been the executive director, now president and CEO, since I want to say December of 2007. Maybe 06. But
okay.
You'd have to ask her.
Yeah.
She'll know. She's better with dates than I am on that kind of stuff.
Best addition to this family that was ever made, by the way.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Well, and she's brought everybody in. You know, I get a lot of credit for stuff, but it's not me.
It's the staff.
It's the staff. It's
They're
people
amazing.
like you.
Yeah.
The volunteers, the ambassadors.
Yeah.
The staff, though, if your staff isn't worth anything, people aren't going to keep coming back to see them.
Right.
And people aren't going to keep donating. And I don't care if you're the switchboard operator or the president and CEO.
Yeah.
It takes everyone working together, whether you're a paid employee, a volunteer at the local level, a volunteer at the national level. Yeah. And we can never lose sight of the fact that we're here for the patients and their families and their caregivers. Because when you do that, then you're in trouble. And
absolutely. And I love.
Yeah.
I love that it's sticking to that same core value that your mother started, that same reasoning behind what was so important for her to make the Chicago chapter. Here we are all these years later, and that is still the driving force, taking care of the patients.
Mm-hmm.
And their
We've never
family.
lost track of that.
And
We
their
never got
families,
off.
And their
Yeah,
families.
and the
Right.
families. And their families. And
Well,
the fact that it's
I-
all free. I
Yeah.
still get butterflies in my stomach when I say that, because what services are out there? What organizations are out there doing the things that this chapter is doing? I have to say, not many. I mean, all the things you guys are really, really making sure the patients, their families are taken care of, the research is getting done, equipment's getting provided, support groups are there, that all the tools are in place to make this journey the best it can be, the best of the worst situation is what this
Right.
chapter is giving these
Mhm.
families. And it's doing it all for free. This is
Mhm.
huge.
Well, ALS is an expensive disease.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't, only the wealthiest of the wealthy could afford
Yeah.
care if they didn't have insurance or if they didn't have, the wherewithal. I mean, it's, I don't know the exact numbers, but, just some of the equipment that they need is
Yeah.
just simple equipment is very
Mhm.
expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here. I've seen the estimate; it's about 250,000 to take care of someone with
Mhm.
ALS. But I think that is sorely understated, because especially now with rising costs on all fronts, that number is so much higher. So we're talking about, after diagnosis, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to
mhm.
take care of that loved one with ALS, or to take care of yourself with ALS. That's just unattainable for most people, and you guys are
Yeah.
there
Right.
to really fill the gaps, to help them so that they can get the things
Mhm.
that they need, regardless of sort of where they're at financially.
Well,
Right,
and I
correct.
think if you think about it, every person that has been diagnosed with ALS, he has a different journey.
Yeah.
It can either be short, like my father-in-law's, or it can last. And
And
then
Dr. Hawking.
that's when you start talking about these massive costs.
Mhm.
It's just really
Mhm.
crazy. So
Yeah, my dad 4 months, Dr. Hawking 26 years.
I think it was even, yeah.
I mean,
it was a long time. Decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decades.
So, and the other thing is, if I didn't follow through, I think I'd get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
I know. I do want to talk about that, because I found that kind of entertaining. So your mom was a force. She was this fiery
Mhm.
woman who, yeah, there was no stopping her. She had this mission, and I just think she is up there in heaven, just smiling at just, she did this. She started this. She
Yeah.
did this. But when she passed away, I know that, I mean, there was a lot going on. That was a really tough time for you, but you had this moment of, okay, what now? I mean, your mom was the one behind this, driving all of this. And now I know you said they
Yeah.
came up to you and kind of said, what are we going to do? So you're faced with this decision.
Yeah.
Where was your head at? And was that an easy decision? Obviously, spoiler alert, the end of that story is that Toby stepped in.
Yeah, I'm sitting here now, so
Exactly. We know how that ended, but what was that process like?
yeah, unfortunately, my mom died 8 days after she was officially diagnosed with cancer. And it had been about a month of in and out of hospitals and this that diagnosis, and
Misdiagnosis.
and it was nuts. So at her wake, yes, somebody did come to me and say, listen, a lot of money flying around your mother. What are you going to do? And I said, about what? And he said, ALS. And I said, geez, I hadn't even really had time to think about it. This was her deal. I said, I've always been there to support her, but well, if you don't step in, we're going to have to pull these grants back, because we need a go-to person that we know and trust. I said, tell you what, give me 10 days. And at that time, our board chair, Jamie, was standing next to me when this conversation was going on, and he put on the high pressure for me to join the board and get involved. And he kind of said something to somebody at the national level, and they put on the high press, high pressure cell. So 10 days, 8 or 9 days later, I said, you know what? We got to do this. And it means that much to this many people. And at that time, we really didn't know how many ALS patients there were. The registry hadn't even been thought of at that point. So that's how I got in full with jumped into the deep end with eyes not fully wide open. I really wasn't sure what I was getting into. And, unfortunately, a lot of times you hear about the nonprofits can be very shark-infested waters and political and all. I said, geez, I'm Ed Kaharsky's kid. I grew up with the original Mayor Daley. I grew up with these guys. I can handle it. Well, I've learned a lot in the last 15 years or whatever it's been, because they're not. Nobody's. I'm not calling anybody anything, but it's just a whole different atmosphere. But they all like to think they're politicians.
Well, at the end of the day, we're all coming together. I think the most important part is, like, you did it. You stepped in. You clearly made, I'm going to go out and say it for you, the best decision of your life. Because
no, this is the best decision right here.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough. I'll take it. Second best decision of your life was stepping up to the plate and keeping, like you said, keeping your mom's legacy going, keeping your dad's legacy and memory going. And then look, I mean, do you ever just sit back and it hits you that, holy smokes, this is what the Chicago chapter turned into. These are the participants we're getting. These are the volunteers. This is the amount of money we're raising and the amount of families we get to help. How does that hit you?
We talk about it, and Diane and I do. It's always there, but it's never first and foremost in your mind. But something will come up, or you'll see something on TV, or you'll hear something, and wow, I guess we did do all right.
We did that.
We've always done what came naturally to us, what our instincts told us to do, and what we know how to do.
Yeah. Could you have predicted this though? Back in 2005, even 6 and 7, when this was starting out, did you have any hopes? Did you sit back and think, man, it would be really nice to get, to raise this amount of money or to have this many volunteers? Did you ever have an idea of where you wanted it to go? And how does that compare to looking where the chapter is today?
The thing I always wanted to see is the chapter continue to grow. I never wanted to backtrack. I didn't want to stay static or stagnant. And we've done that every year.
Yeah.
I never really put a dollar figure on, I'm not going to call us successful till we raise, 20 million a year.
Yeah.
So, and this is donor dollars. It's not like they have to give to us.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you have a solid, organization that's going to support not only the people with ALS, but their families, you're going to have more and more donors coming. You're going to have more and more people spreading the word. You're going to have more and more people who get involved.
It's the patients' families that are our largest donors. They're the ones going out knocking door to door. Will you support me in the walk? Will you support me if I do this in the run, and so on and so forth? So we're all in it together. And it's funny because I'll during the winter when we don't get a chance, we don't have. Well, now we do have First Look for Charity, so we do have some of the patients and their families come to that. But that's usually when all the heavy duty meetings go on.
Okay.
And that drives me crazy. And I can't wait till the first Saturday in June with the walk to be around the patients.
Mhm.
I look forward to that, and my whole mood changes. I mean, it's,
Ah,
I look forward to seeing, and I don't like using anybody's names because, you're forgetting somebody, and I don't ever mean to do that, but there is one patient in particular that I love to see every time I get a chance to see her, and that's Kate McEnbrock. She what an amazing woman. The one year, and you were at this walk, what was it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where it started to snow
Ugh.
in June.
We've had all sorts of weather.
And she grabbed my hand. I saw her, she's grabbing it. She's still got some strength there. And her diamond ring, the post, was gouging into my finger. And I'm trying to be nice, but I don't want to insult her. And,
Yeah.
and she's smiling. She's got tears. I've got tears. I look down, now I've got blood running down my
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, come on, Kate, we're holding up the walk. You got to get going." Okay. But there's a specialist. She wanted, there's a picture of me and Kate at one of the galas. She wanted to dance, and she was not going to take no for an answer.
Love it.
So we found a slow Sinatra song, and we had a dance. And then she really wasn't ready to get back into her chair yet. And next thing I know, she's got my tie, and she's got it in her mouth. She goes, "Oh, this will make a great picture."
Well, and she saw me with my camera, and
Yeah.
so she did that, and so I'm taking pictures. It was pretty funny.
But it's that resiliency with
Yeah.
99% of our patients. As
It's
opposed
true,
to
and that's
many
what
other
blows me away.
diseases. Yeah.
Mhm. It blows
So
me
I
away.
get
and
excited to see them.
I know. And I get so inspired. And I really do. When I have
Absolutely.
a bad day, I think about these moments. I think about, getting to meet the two of you, talking with you, getting to know the patients, getting to spend time with them, all the events we do, because it's just the most incredible reminder in life that we are so lucky that there's so many incredible people out there dealing with some of the hardest things in the world, and they're doing it with a smile on their face, with such courage, such hope. It is just, I feel like inspirational is not a big enough of a word to sort of express how incredible
You're right.
our patients are. This whole team.
Absolutely.
This whole team is just, I keep saying it's magic. Something about everybody here, everyone, all the pieces come together, and it's just magic. There's no other way to say it.
I would agree.
Yeah. And it's the team, and it's the volunteers, and and none of it happens without them.
And it's the family. It is this crazy, amazing family. Like you said, Toby, they are out there. They are relentless, knocking on doors. They are our walkers to be able to raise $875,000, especially in where the world's at right now. That is no small feat. That is insane that they were relentless in making this happen. And like you said, Toby, it's all because of the boots on the ground, knocking on doors, making it happen.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we've accomplished so many things. This chapter has accomplished, and it has grown. Even just when I found the chapter back in, I think it was 2009, it was 3 people. Fearless leader Julie, and there were 2 other people. That's it. And then we've just grown every year. We've gotten bigger. We've gotten better. The team has just grown to the most amazing people. So all the things that have been accomplished, and the list is so long, we don't even have time to go through all the things that this chapter has accomplished. What would you guys say you're sort of most proud of? What are some of the most proud accomplishments that the Chicago chapter has been able to achieve?
For me, there's a couple. The fact that we have never stepped backwards.
Yeah.
We're always moving forward. The way we've adapted through the years, the staff, we lose one person, we bring somebody else in that does twice the job. Yeah. It's been amazing. When the pandemic hit, everybody's like, oh, what are we going to do? We can't have our walks. We can't do this. Here comes Kendra thinking out of the box. We're going to do neighborhood walks.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
And we matched what we had done the year before. Yeah. We actually exceeded what we had done the year before at the Chicago walk. I'm talking in Chicago. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't honestly remember what the downstate numbers were.
Yeah.
But it was unbelievable. And to the point where Forbes magazine did an article on her about this.
What?
Yeah, you'll have to ask Kendra about it next time you talk to her. Yeah, I mean,
makes so much sense. I'm on board that Forbes picked up somebody from our chapter. Of course they did.
Jumana has rewritten the book on care services, not just locally, but at the national level.
Yeah, just amazing.
I was, so as long as we keep growing, the sky's going to be the limit. But until one day, we can all get on Season Sunflower Hour and celebrate that we have found a cure, or if not a cure, at least let's make this a livable disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's hope it's in the next 5 years, 5 to 7 years, because that's part of what the national motto is, or whatever they call it now. A livable disease by 2030. So when I hired Julie, another great thing I was able to do, I just talked about Jumana. At the national level, I spent 3 years. The first year as the vice chair of the Board of Representatives, and the next 2 as the chairman of the Board of Representatives. And I was able to make selections to the committees. And the first year I was able to put Jumana on, and she hasn't left. And the changes that she has instituted, not just with the chapter, but at the national level, is just amazing. And how smart, how funny, it's
this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they've accomplished together too, I think is so beautiful. Everything they've accomplished at Capitol Hill, everything they have accomplished with, service men and women, veterans, and getting all of those things handled and recognized and helping make that process so much easier, having this national registry, just all the things that they have been able to accomplish. And we have endless stories of patients that come on the show and say, I was in this situation, I couldn't get this. ALSA swoops in, gets it done. Or just the things that they're able to do blows my mind. So I know that's an impossible question to even answer. What are some of the most proudest accomplishments? Because every one of them, that's what's crazy about this group. This organization itself, every accomplishment that they achieve, it's not just, oh, wow, pat ourselves in the back, we did something good. No, that accomplishment has impacted so many people's lives in such a big way that it's just, I get goosebumps thinking about what this chapter has accomplished and what your family legacy has turned into.
This is a funny story because it has worked out. You were just talking about the registry. And in 2000, it was advocacy of 2007. So, and Barack Obama was a rock star in the Senate. And I had one of the biggest fights and one of the biggest problems we faced with the registry was everybody just thought that the CDC was tracking it. And they weren't. Because you've heard the saying, oh, it takes an act of Congress to get this done. It takes an act of Congress. Congress has to tell the CDC what to do, what they can and can't track.
Okay.
So we're in DC for advocacy, and we do share some territory in Illinois, half the state, with the St. Louis chapter. So as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of a few of us in this room. We go walking in, and Senator Obama is sitting in his conference room, and it's got a big plate glass picture window, and he sees us come in, and I don't know, Nationals put a television crew with us that day to, well, let's show everybody how it's done from the grassroots level. And Obama looks up at me, he sees me, and he points. Then he points to the back. Uh-oh.
He's in trouble.
I've gone and pissed off the senator. And then this little girl comes around the corner from the back, and she goes, "Mr. Cookie, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
The senator would like to have a word with you."
Uh-oh.
Okay. So I go back there, and he's just letting me have it. And the language is flying and yada, yada, yada. And what it came down to was he had gotten, when he was a state senator here in Illinois, he co-sponsored a bill that he didn't write. And it blew up in his face.
He got burned. Yeah.
He got burned on it. So he said, "I will do whatever you want me to do behind the scenes, but I won't co-sponsor this bill." So he said, "Would you please tell the dailies to quit calling me, Maggie to quit calling me, Emil Jones to quit calling me." And okay, yeah. All right, I'm sorry. And then now he's realizing, ooh, maybe I've gone over. He looks at me and he says, "You still smoke Newports?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'm out. You got a couple?" And he got that grin on his face. He went back into his meeting, and we went in and met with his health liaison. And he, a couple of years later, I ran into him. He was president at that point, and he went, "You still smoking?" "I quit." And he just started laughing.
So we can officially say that, Toby, you have been scolded by President Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Oh,
Before he was president.
well,
Before he was
before,
president, but that's actually what it took. And that was, we'd go into congressional offices and we would meet with the health person, and all of a sudden here would come the rep. "What do you mean? They're not tracking that? Oh, we got to get on top of this." So that bill passed the first year. And
but
then
it's crazy that it took that long, that it took you guys sort of, hi, no one's tracking
wake up,
this.
smell the
Wake
coffee.
up. Yeah. But there we go. There's another one of those accomplishments that the Chicago chapter has managed to do that has been absolutely life-changing. So people, for those that don't know, it's a registry that you get on so that they can track and they can try to find the common sort of denominators and try to narrow down who's getting ALS, how are they getting ALS. They can track all of the progress.
Yeah, that's advocacy.
Right.
That's
right. Yeah.
You
it
know,
didn't actually come out of Chicago.
Yeah, it was the whole.
Yeah.
It was
advocacy.
But Chicago, and that was the year that Bobby Rush's chief of staff, who is now retiring from Congress, she just looked at me. She says, "It's you guys that brought the Illinois delegation together, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. We don't fight anymore." And most of them all either worked for or with my dad or served in the Illinois House with my brothers. So they knew the one, little Toby, well, you're half right. She remembered me running around the State House when I was little, or younger, I should say. And, And that's one of the things my dad taught me. It takes everybody to get together to make things happen. So I try to walk right down the middle of the aisle.
Yeah.
I really don't care what color shirt you got on, whether it's red or blue. Because you know what? ALS doesn't know. It doesn't care.
It doesn't care.
So
I think that is a beautiful reminder too that ALS, it really does take everybody coming together. ALS doesn't discriminate on who it comes for, and we have to work together. And I think it's so beautiful that I love hearing that Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter who they were, that they saw how important this work was, that they were willing to come together to help make a difference, to help in the states, to help within the political levels, to just do what needed to be done to get us closer to where we need to be, which is, like you guys said, making this disease livable, ultimately finding a cure. And in the meantime, taking care of the families, care of the families and taking care of the individuals battling ALS.
Yes.
Yeah. It takes all of us. We can't do it alone.
Yep.
Definitely.
Speaking of that, what is your vision? What is your hope for the Chicago chapter in the future?
To keep growing.
Yeah.
Because if we don't keep, as we keep growing, it's more patients and people we can help. It's just that simple.
I hope at some point it would never have to exist.
Yeah. Or to the day that we can call it a chronic, treatable disease.
Right.
And or the Holy Grail, a cure.
Yeah.
Well, Diane, I'm with you. I like that. How many places can you say that we're hoping to be non-relevant? We're hoping that we get to close the doors and that there's no longer an ALSA Chicago chapter because we have cracked the code.
Because we're not needed.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and Toby and I have talked about this many times. It would be as much as we see this growth and it's helping, people. There's also this wish that it would be nice to have some cure, something where it does become either chronic or can become manageable. It's something that is not needed. And support groups, sure, but yeah.
Well, we're going to get there.
Yep.
We are.
If there's any lessons from tonight's episode, you guys, it is that your family can basically make the impossible possible. So if there is any organization, any group that's going to get it done, it is this group. It's this group of magical people.
And you need to count yourself among that. I met you in 2009. There was a little fundraiser you were throwing in Schaumburg that we came out for. Met your mom and shook some hands, and we raised a little bit of money that day, and we had a wonderful time. And then you became a volunteer, an ambassador. Now you got the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, this is great to have.
You've always been so positive and so warm and welcoming, and just
so sweet.
All our hopes for you are that your hopes and dreams come true too.
I mean, I'm living it. You have no idea. I am absolutely living it. And that first time back in 2009, I'm telling you, it came from just a phone call, a Google search, and calling. And Julie Sharp, she answered the phone. And I said, gosh, what's going on over here? What's this Chicago chapter about? How can I be a part of it? And that was my best decision I have ever made, because this is the family that I'm never leaving. And I think once you've been touched by ALS, it blows my mind the people that get involved and put their whole heart into this that haven't been directly touched. If you have, people will understand this. You can't help but help. You have to. You have to be a part of this. You have to be a part of this fight. And to thank you for even including me in this family, because it is the most exciting family I've ever been a part of. And Darn it. You can channel the inner Martha, channel your inner mother, because there is no stopping. Nothing will get in the way when I'm on a mission to educate people, to spread awareness, to tell them what the chapter does, to explain what ALS is. It's going to get done.
Yeah.
We're going to end this together.
Yep.
It's happening.
Sounds good.
I know. Well, you guys, I don't know how we blinked again and time just disappeared. So Toby, Diane, is there anything before I have you give the last thought? I do really want to bring this up. So Carrie Ricky, she is one of our Sunflower Hour family members. We love her to death. She lost her husband, Mike Ricky, to ALS this past December.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has just been a rock star. She just had an event where she raised some great money in his honor for the chapter. So she's watching the show tonight and she's loving you guys, learning the story. See, so she had this to say. She is sending you so much thanks. You can read that on behalf of our family and all the other families they have experienced at ALS. They want to send a huge thank you to you.
Thank you.
To your family, to your mom, and to everyone for creating the Chicago chapter.
Thank you so much. And,
I second that. Carrie. We are so grateful for you two, for stepping up to the plate, Toby, for having an incredible family who had this vision that grew into what this is today. Diane, for taking on this adventure as well. You guys just stepping up and doing all that you do to keep this chapter moving forward and growing. Thank you guys so much. Anything you want to say to everybody before you take off?
Let's keep going.
Love it. Let's keep going.
Yep.
We'll see you back. We'll see you back next year, and we can look back at the 2023.
That'd be fun.
Really fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll have any more hair than I have now, though. So.
You know what? Never give up that dream.
Now, you can remember when I first met you, I did have some. Not much, but I had some.
I know. We're going to have to go into the archive for the next time we talk to you, because I really want to see some of these photos from that first walk in 2005 and from over the years that things have progressed. Because Diane, you did mention that you take a photo every year to see how this grows.
Julie's phenomenal at keeping those photos too.
I love it. We're going to have to dig deep into the vault, and we'll have another year recap.
No, we will.
Sort of
and we'll
celebrate
just have like
where we've come.
Little pictures everywhere. Yeah. Of each walk.
I love that.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you guys so much. I will see you very soon. And
I
love our family.
Yes.
I know. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
You guys, well, if you are new to the ALS Association's Greater Chicago chapter, I love that you got to hear the story of where this came from. What started as a conversation at the kitchen table back in 2005 has grown to this Greater Chicago chapter. It has touched so many people, and all of you are a part of that. So thank you for being a part of our beautiful, beautiful family. We will be back November 1st for our next episode. And in the meantime, remember, we have this amazing Sunflower Hour costume contest coming up. So submit your photos to ALSA Chicago on Instagram. We can't wait to see what you have coming. And get ready, gear up, because it is almost November, and that means Caregivers Month. So we're going to have all kinds of celebrations honoring all the wonderful caregivers who make such a big difference in the lives of those they are taking care of. We love all of you, and we are here to celebrate you next month. Until then, everybody, I will see you for the next live show on November 1st. Until next time, be bright and shine your light.